Good morning. Peter here. For those of you who may be just catching this video and not having followed me on a few of my earlier videos, really, this channel has only been around since last year. I'm an enthusiast wildlife photographer, which means I'm a hobbyist. This is a retirement hobby. I really concentrate. I'd say 85-90% of my photography is on birds, sparrows, flycatchers, warblers, shorebirds, and then things like ducks and other birds. So if you followed the last few videos, I've been talking a bit. We've been on a trip out west from our home in eastern Canada. Essentially, we're in a suburb community of Ottawa, the capital. We're currently in Riding Mountain National Park. And that's pretty obvious if you saw the Grasslands videos, because there's trees. And it's also cold. It was actually below zero this morning, so it was a little cool. We had planned on staying here 7 full days, but we made a change this morning, last night. So Joanne and I will be leaving after, this is our 4th day actually. We've had a lot of rain. It hasn't been the nicest. So we're going to leave tomorrow, head back home. And we're not stopping in Sleeping Giant as we had initially thought we would do and spend 4 or 5 days, I forget what it was. We're basically just going to do single night stops home, all the way home. Still means we're going to be at 4 weeks, 4 weeks plus on the road, which is the most we've done. But we'll be ahead, getting home 3 or 4 days ahead of schedule. In part, it's the weather. Started out really crappy here. Really, when we got to Regina for that hold that day, we hadn't planned, but I needed some memory cards. Since then, the weather has really gone downhill compared to the 30s we had in Grasslands. And I don't know, just it's sometimes when you're on the road and you're in a little 20-foot trailer, you kind of need a little bit more space. And I think, the one thing with Joanne that's nice is when one of us suggests something, usually the other one is already thinking the same thing. It's a noisy campground. And I think that's the other thing we had. It was so quiet. It was so peaceful in Grasslands. I mean, a lot smaller campground in terms of visitation. But here it's just non-stop noise. So it's just been, it's a lot noisier. It's a lot busier. And that, somewhat to be expected. We're not very far from Winnipeg and Regina. So this is like how Algonquin for us would be 2.5 hours away. That's what this is for a significant portion of people in both Manitoba and the eastern end of Saskatchewan. If you're from the prairies, you come here and it's trees and lakes and stuff. So it's a bit more of a playground in that sense. Yesterday when I went out for in between the rain, I spotted Boreal Chickadees, a bird that I really like photographing. Got to photograph a single bird that had shown up in Ottawa I'm going to say 3 winters ago. I'm pretty sure it was during COVID that it showed up. Not too far from where I live, where Joanne and I live. But last late summer, fall, Joanne and I went to Parc National Bic, which is on the south shore of the St. Lawrence, near the town of Rimouski in Quebec. And boreals are, you know, a species that's there. So we got to photograph them for the most part right in the campground, which was kind of cool. So I'm just going to go back to where I only saw one, but I heard, I'm pretty sure, when you see it's the wind, and there's a chill to that wind. Merlin picked up, even though I only physically, saw one. Merlin picked up. I could see it picking up different calls, so I know there's 3 or 4 in that little bunch, and they're hanging around with black-capped chickadees, which is again a very normal thing for boreals. In addition, yesterday I actually, it's kind of funny, I went to a location, a hike along the trail. It was Saturday. I should have known better. It was very busy, but I met a nice young couple. They were birders, and they were out, and I had stopped with the bigger lens. I'm actually just using the R7 and the 1-400, but they were out, and they saw me with the big lens and wondered what I was photographing, and I told them, birds, in particular boreals. They suggested a trail called the Boreal Trail, which is just up the road from here, maybe 4 or 5 kilometers at the most. So I drove up there instead of continuing on the path I was on, the hike I was on. I drove up there, didn't see any, but heard Canada jays, which was kind of cool. We should see those in a few weeks when we're in Algonquin for the moose rut and moose photography week. But had another coyote interaction. Seems I could have called this trip the coyote trip, and I wouldn't have been far from wrong. This one, and I'm not exaggerating here, but I almost tripped on it. Like it ran out. It must have been under a bush, and again, because the trail was probably not as clean for width as it should be, or it could be. I think it must have been just lying, kind of just off the side of the trail, like in a place like this. And I was walking and watching for birds. I'd actually just seen a huge group of, well, huge, 20 or so sandhill cranes, and they were up flying around. Got a couple of aerial shots of them, which is always interesting. So anyway, so I'm looking up and I'm walking around looking for boreals. I'm not looking down at my feet, and all of a sudden the brush right beside me just was, like something had run through it, and I kind of just glanced down and see this beige running at my feet, and it took me a few seconds. Like it wasn't an instantaneous, it was like a holy shit, what was that? And then I followed. You could see where the trees were, the little brush was being moved, and I could see the back end of them, and I knew right away it was a coyote. So I did just a normal one of my little bird calls, which, something, more of a pishing sound. And he or she stopped, looked right back at me. So I got a few pictures. It was kind of cute. Anyway, I'm almost at the spot where the boreals were. Yes, the boreal was yesterday, so I'm gonna put this away. But yeah, it was an exciting experience with the coyote, and just adds to the 4 weeks that we've been out on the road. Oh, so that was a lot of fun. Did get the Boreal Chickadee. Didn't get a lot of good shots though. Just they bounce around so freaking much. Man, I thought the warblers were bad, but I might have, you know, sort of picked up a few, 2 or 3 anyway, which is not too bad. Sorry, I'm trying to get you out of a lot of sun here right behind me. So that'll be it. I'll sign off now. If we get anything now between here and our departure tomorrow, actually even if I get some on the way home, unlikely I'll be doing a lot of photography between here and home over the next 4 days, but if I do, I'll post them at the end of this video. Again, it was the 4 weeks we've reached at this point have been really good. Grasslands was amazing, and other than the weather maybe getting a little colder than we were ready for, it was a pretty fantastic time here in Grasslands and Riding Mountain.